Our next presenter is Maz Haq.
Hello, my name is Maz Haq, but Bengali community সবাই বলে আমাকে রাহাত অথবা মহুয়ার ভাই কারণ আমার বোন অনেক গান করে, so I guess that's nice. I just graduated from mining engineering. I went to school here at SFU. I studied chemistry. Then I decided I want to do something engineering related, so I decided to do 2 years of engineering here and 2 years in the States. And I just basically got back from that. And when Maria told me that there was an opportunity for us to write a paper and express our thoughts about our experience throughout the last few years here in Canada, I thought it would be an exciting opportunity to be part of it. So thank you, Maria, and thank you, Dr. Habiba. Good morning. Namaskar. Assalamualaikum. Things I'm about to talk about today may come across a little controversial, may come across uncomfortable, but please do keep in mind I respect our country, I respect my language, I respect my culture from the bottom of my heart. The things I will be talking about are mostly personal experiences which has caused me to believe that my life is kind of like one of those Bollywood films which a lot of us are accustomed to. And that's why I named my paper The Filmy Life of a Bengali Western Boy. Yeah, so that's me. My name is Maz Haq. Currently, of course, I just graduated with an engineering degree, so I'm full-time bekar chile, as in no job, and I'm definitely not seeking any beer pro stuff, so no wedding proposals. I want to talk to you guys about migration of my family and myself into Canada. Now, I was born in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. I grew up in an upper middle class family in Mohammadpur. I was in boarding school. It was I was in grade 8, and my mom suddenly calls me one day and she's like, "Son, we're going to Canada." Now, of course, at first I was like, "What?" It's confusing when, your parents drop such a big fact and info on you, but to be honest, I didn't mind it because from a very young age, I sought excitement and adventures. So I was just excited to be part of the next adventure of my life. And of course, I didn't even finish grade 8. I was taken out of boarding school, and 1 month later, I was in Canada. I first landed on Canadian soil May 9th of 2004. The feeling of landing in Vancouver after coming from the airport and then to our apartment was a little tranquil. This is Shah Rukh Khan, one of the best heroes in Bollywood. He's one of the richest actors in the world. So from the great movie Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham, when he gets off the helicopter and runs towards No Tomorrow, that's pretty much how I felt when I got to Canada. But really I'm trying to say is that I came from a crowded country, a country that was very busy, to more or less a very quiet place, because it would be 13, 14 years now. Around that time, Vancouver was, again, of course, it was developed, but the population then wasn't as much as it is now. Family came here, of course, thinking that this will be the nation of golden opportunities. They wanted a better life for their son and daughter. Of course, they wanted to get away from the political uncertainty and the crime and the violence that happens, but at the same time, they wanted better education for their kids, and they wanted to be part of that, so that's why they didn't just send us away, they came with us. We first, of course, came from this to an area like that. Now that's Mount Pleasant area, huge change, but I didn't mind it. Even though, as I said, we were in an upper middle class family, but we came and moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in the Mount Pleasant area. I didn't mind it because, a lot of the times when you're with your family in Bangladesh, growing up, parents get busy, which happens here too, but my mom was a professor in Russia University and my dad was in the import-export business. During the early years, I was mostly raised by my grandparents. Now, I don't blame that at all. I got more than enough love I could ever ask for. But at the same time, the bonding that needed to exist between mom, dad, myself and my sister, for a few years that was missing. But when we came to Canada, of course, it was, it came to fruition again. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, of course, I cannot talk about immigration into Canada if I don't talk about money and happiness. One of the most important questions I learned at a very young age, and I still ask myself, is that how important is money for immigrant families? Now, as I told you earlier, my dad was in the import-export business. He struggled to find business opportunities in Vancouver. Yes, there was some money that he brought back from there, but you know, you have to have the proper idea for your business to succeed. Otherwise, you just end up going to debt, which happens to a lot of families, not just Bengali immigrant families, but a lot of Indian, Pakistani, Sri Lankan families, right? My mom, as I said, she was a professor in Russian university, but her experience didn't count for much because she actually had to pursue further education here. She actually went to UBC to get another master's in library and information science, even though she already had a master's from before. Now, at this point in her life, she didn't pursue library and information science, even though she got her education in it. She's successful in something else completely, so I'm very happy for her. Sometimes change is good. But financial issues also causes conflict between your families, and it's a very critical thing that we often don't talk about. As kids, parents may often think that we don't notice things, we don't observe things, but that's complete bullshit, because we actually do. We realize if our parents are going through struggles. We get it, and especially when you're being raised in an immigrant family, you understand the importance of money. You don't want to just buy another Transformer toy or buy another plush toy because you don't want to put your parents through that struggle. So even though mom and dad's mentality were different, my dad's mentality was like business opportunity portfolio, we have to go find something and then boom, gonna make money like that. Whereas my mom was like, it will take time, have patience. One thing I learned is that yes, money does bring happiness a lot of the times, not all the time. But one of the most important thing I learned is that if you have the strength to live without money, that's when you will get true happiness and you will get success, and eventually you will end up getting the money that you deserve. As the oldest son of the family, the Boro Chile, there's a lot of responsibilities on me. Now, I'm not saying I fulfilled my role as the best son I could be, but at the same time, I tried, and there were a lot of things that was laid on me. Of course, responsibilities are often predetermined by cultural and social views. This meme exists for a reason. There are people, there are families where the moment you come out of the womb, you're expected to be a lawyer, engineer, or a doctor. I get it. Our parents want the best kind of life for us. They want us to be successful. They want us to make money. But at the same time, a lot of us have different dreams and passions. Yes, I'm an engineer today, jobless one, but there was a point in my life when I was really wanted to get into the film industry. And my mom's really easy to talk to, but she simply said, Baba, you're realistic, now don't go into it. So I understood it, and of course I pursued my passion down the road. But a lot of families a lot of the times, it's very difficult to talk with your mom and dad about your real passion, your real dreams, because you're scared that they might look at you in a different way, and you don't want that. And as the oldest son and the younger brother, I had to be a role model for my younger siblings. I had to balance my family and and my social lifestyle. I couldn't just go out, party, and then come home at any time I wanted to. Even though that didn't really help stop my sister from going out late at night. I'm not trying to badmouth her, but you get my point. The point is really as much as I tried that, okay, I have to carry myself in a certain way, it's not always necessary. As long as the proper guidance exists, you don't have to keep your kids under confinement. And another thing I learned is that as the older son, my actions will have consequences. I carry my family's reputation. If today I ended up being, I don't know, the fact that I don't have a job yet, it's already creating controversy. And I only graduated in the summer, so that just tells you. So maintaining a good social image, otherwise family's reputation will be jeopardy, is very crucial. And a lot of us have to live through that every day of our life. I have many friends who, pardon my language, who don't give a shit about what other people think. They have drifted away completely from the Bengali culture and the community. So it doesn't matter where they go, who they associate themselves with. But I had to keep my image so that, let's say, my family is not looked upon in a negative manner. And it's not that I hate it. I understand that reputation, status, class is very important to live in this community. But which, of course, helped shape my Western and my Bengali identity down the road. Interaction with parents is another important thing. we learn from a young age that we can't look at our father in the eye, otherwise it will be considered beyadobi, right? Shah Rukh here couldn't look at Amitabh in the eye to tell him that he fell in love with Kajol. But point is that we need to be able to have that kind of adult conversations with our parents. I need to be able to talk to my dad about, hey dad, I'm having growth problems, or hey dad, I partied and then, I'm hungover, things like that. I'm not saying I drink, don't get me wrong. The point I'm trying to make to you is a lot of us go through that, and that again shapes our identity, and the expectations thing. Once you graduate and you get a job, financial things come into play. Where you get your job, and how much money you're making. Based on that, oftentimes your parents won't even say that you have to help them, but you're kind of expected to. That is our culture. And of course, down the line, when I have a job and I'm established, I want to help my mom and dad. I want to take them out on vacation. But there are certain things that are like just completely engraved into our DNA, which again shapes our identity. And of course, the whole aspect of marriage. This is the most stereotypical thing I hear all the time. As in, as soon as we get married, we're going to forget our parents. But they're basically telling us, you're going to forget us. Don't constantly remind us that, because we don't want to be reminded of that. They forget that at one point in their life, they also got married, and they also started a new family. It's not that they completely forgot their parents. It happens. It's just the natural progression of life. Of course, mom and dad expect this is going to be the best kind of family thing, everybody living together. But then again, that only happens in Bollywood movies. Realistically speaking, in a Western world, that's uncommon. Yes, when you're born in a white family or anything else, any other race, you're after 18 or 17, you're kind of expected to live out of your house and pursue your dreams and make your own money. You don't have to worry about parents. But Bengali culture is a little different. Now, there are positives and negatives of it. Of course, negatives I just discussed. The positive is our love, the love that exists, and the integrity of our families, the core values of our families will always stay strong as long as we're together. And that's very important for our generation and the next generation to learn. And this is one of the most controversial things I'm going to talk about, so I apologize in advance. This part of the presentation is about Bengali society in a Western world. Now, again, 14 years of my life here, one of the most difficult aspects about me migrating and me adapting my lifestyle here was me navigating through a Western Bengali community. We have a lot of Bengalis in British Columbia and the lower mainland now, but it's not as much as, let's say, Montreal or Ottawa, or California, or New York. So it's still a very small community. Now, whenever you do little things, gossip spreads like a bullet. And it's almost like you're in bullet time in the Matrix movie and you're just trying to dodge everything. But you can't always dodge all the issues that come towards your way. Sometimes you will get hit. But the moment you get hit, the moment you fall, the moment you fail, people find a way to pinpoint that. People find a way to diminish your parents. And I hate it. And I'm not saying everybody does it. I'm not saying everybody goes through it. But it exists. I know 3 of my 2 friends here, they had to go through it too. I have other friends that they had to go through it too. Anytime we fall, anytime we make a mistake, remember, we are young and we are going to make mistakes just like our parents did. But doesn't mean that simple things will be picked apart like completely to, almost assassinate our characters. Another thing is that somehow admission into UBC protects your high level of intelligence. Few of the smartest people I've known are high school dropouts. They pursued their dreams and passion to become a mechanic or other things, and they are very, very hardworking. So this whole concept about when I got into UBC and SFU, I chose to go to SFU, but somehow there were some people in the society who thought that they needed to talk about that. The fact that I didn't get into UBC, I didn't work hard enough, or my parents weren't, a proper guardian to me to lead me to the right path. And again, something I have had problems with. One of the nice things that we all do for a small community is the fact that we organize dawats. We go to, these gatherings and get together and eat nice food. But even during these dawats, you have to make sure that you're not caught talking to someone of the opposite sex. Now, bear with me. It's not that it happens all the time, but it does happen. There are some people who, if they see that you're talking to someone, let's say I'm a guy and I'm talking to a girl, instantly in a week you're gonna hear somehow, I was at a on downtown or something with some other girl and we were talking. They will turn a doubt into something else, and it has happened. I have heard from my dad, which he heard from a grocery store, that I was at a certain location. But I've never been to that location, so I don't even know how they pictured me in that location. But things happen. And of course, they told my dad that somehow I was talking to a girl. So what's the big deal? It's not like, any girl and a guy and a girl can't be friends. We can be, but again, as I said, these are controversial topics and these are things that we often experience. And it shapes, it causes drift, the drift that we don't want. We want to be part of this culture. We love our language, but these little things that over the years has caused issues in our own brain to fade away from, or want to fade away from the society. Of course, it's a picture of aunties gossiping. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to aunties, but it happens. Let's face it, it's the truth. My own mom does it, so don't tell her I did. And finally, Western versus Bengali identity. I'm going to try to rush through this. Now, over time, as I grew up here, my interest in music grew. I started liking hip-hop more than, let's say, what I used to listen to, like baul music when I was back home, which of course impacts my language. Now, I'm still trying to speak as much Bangla as I can when I'm at home, but at the same time, when you listen to English songs or when you listen to, like, quote-unquote gangster rap, it kind of becomes difficult for you to, keep on track of, like, certain harder words in Bangla. And my connection with Bollywood movies is another thing. Like, when I speak Bangla on a regular basis, you will see me use Hindi words. Like, instead of saying biye, I'll be saying words like rishta, which is completely a Hindi word, but it happens. But what I really want to say at the end of the day is that even though we lose touch, even though we drift, we are not trying to. We want to latch on to any kind of things that keeps us close to the culture. So, one major advice for parents is that do not keep us in extreme confinement. I'm not saying my parents did that, but I have friends that went through that. A lot of the times when parents doubt us too much, it makes us go away from them. We want to live away from school. We want to go to dorms. I didn't go to dorms, but I never felt like I needed to because I had that kind of communication. I didn't have curfews, for example. And I know I'm a guy and it's easy for me to say it's difficult for a woman to go through that, but at the same time, that's the point. Have faith in us because, we are the next generation. We can be good. We can be great. We are learning from all of you. And show us the path. And please only take part in healthy gossips because keep us in the loop. At the end of the day, who am I? I'm a Bengali and I'm a Canadian. As Bidushi mentioned earlier, that our Western culture and our Bengali culture, they're both us. And we want to do everything we can to learn and grow within this community. Thank you.